Yo, what's going on, boys? In this video I'm going to be showing you how you can qualify for round 2 of FNCS. I'm going to be going through a bunch of tips and tricks on how to win your drop spots and how to play endgame correctly. Thank you so much for 1.5k subs, we're only going to go up from here. If you're enjoying these daily uploads, please make sure to use that supporter creator code, it will help me so much. Alright, let's get straight into the video. In order to qualify for round 2 of FNCS, you're going to need to know how to fight as a trio consistently. Kills and elim points are going to be huge, especially during the first game of the tournament. You're going to want to go for a 20 to 30 kill game. Anyway, more on that in a second. Play to your strengths and know exactly what you're good at, exactly what you're bad at. During arena and practice, you obviously want to be playing to your weaknesses in order to strengthen those weaknesses. However, in your tournament games, you want to be playing extremely to your strengths, knowing exactly what you're good at, and just capitalizing on what your strengths are. During end games, you want to know exactly what roles you're playing as. If you're tarping, if you're supporting, if you're fragging. I'll go a lot more in depth on these tips in a second. I'm just listing them off one by one. Lastly, you want to be knowing your drop spot perfectly, knowing the most efficient loot routes and the best things to farm in order to get the most amount of mats so you can win these off-spawn fights. Okay, so let's talk about drop spots first. The first game, you're going to want to go somewhere that has a couple of people there so you can get a couple of off-spawn fights. The later games, you want to be having a consistent drop spot that you've practiced as a trio. Two things, if you are capable of doing, you should probably do: the 3v3 custom off-spawn fights and looking for drop maps. However, I know a lot of you probably can't do this or don't have access to any of those options, so just use arena as a substitute. Go into arena, get better drops than everybody else. If someone has a better drop than you in arena, try and look at where they pulled out their glider. Once you've figured out how to get decent drop for most of the bus routes, you can look on Fortnite GG and check where all the chests are, all the loot spots are, check which places have the best loot density, which means the most amount of loot in the smallest amount of area. Go into a game and try to see which places are best to farm for the most amount of materials. If you want to be winning your drop spot consistently, you want to be doing these things, as the top teams are most definitely doing this. Even the teams that consistently call for round 3 of FNCS are doing this. They know exactly which places are the best to farm. They are aware of where the loot is in the map. You could say this is RNG, but the people that say this is all RNG are the people that don't win their drop spot every single time. Okay, so now let's talk about how to fight as a trio. Trio fighting is actually quite consistent and simple if your team can stay composed while you're in the fight. Your team are quite composed and calm while fighting, and the enemy team are screaming and shouting and screaming random callouts every second. You have the advantage already. As you approach a trio fight, you want to be approaching from 3 different angles, however not on the opposite side of each other, as one of you could just easily get rushed. So you want to be sort of close to each other, but on 3 separate angles where you can get 3 separate lines of sight on the enemy, all spray at the same time. And as long as you have fingers, you should be able to get a crack or a beam. Tayson, Vino and Resin are actual masters of doing this. They're able to find 3 separate angles every single time they fight without getting boxed or pressured by the trio. When they get a crack, there's usually one of them taking double edits from height, 2 of them on mid ground and low ground just spraying and trying to take walls, and they all just manage to pinch the opponents perfectly. I could try and teach you how to fight like this, however the video would be way too long, so the best way is to just watch Rezon, Tayson and Vino fight. They manage to find 3 different angles every single time they fight and just pinch kids. Basically, in short terms, you want to be taking 3v1s rather than 1v1s. I'm going to be talking about the W key game, how to actually go about W keying, how to not get third partied and things. And then I'll talk about the actual strategies that you're going to need in order to win those higher point games. If you can get a 15 to 40 kill game in your first game, that will be absolutely huge. That means that you can fully focus on just playing end games throughout the rest of these games, trying not to get W keyed mid game and just playing dead side. So you want to be dropping somewhere with about 1 or 2 other teams, wait for those teams to fight and then third party that. It won't be extremely hard, as the first lobby kids aren't usually the best. Treat it as a little bit harder and more strategical arena game. You want to be creating pinches by spraying from different angles and then finishing off the fight as fast as possible. Just make sure that you're not fighting in the congested side, as fights will usually go on for longer and there'll be a lot more third parties that join. You want to be fighting kids that are based up on edge. They're not going to be the best players and they can serve as some free elims for you. Once you've killed about 2 or 3 teams, if you're still super confident, you can carry on keying kids. Edge zone, however, this is also a good time to just chill, relax, wait for endgame and start looking for kills endgame. The rest of these games, you want to be focusing completely on your endgames. However, you can look for kills on edge zone or people that are already fighting. You can try look for some third party tags. You might need some storm surge here, as you'll be in higher lobby games already. But your main focus is to not get keyed by another team. There are some crazy kids in opens that just want to key everything, they'll get super bored. Think about it this way, if you win that fight, you're going to have way less mats, way less shield, you're going to be way less chilling in endgame. That's why you should focus on not getting keyed, not getting into those really long fights that will just waste everyone's mats and shield. It's about playing for endgame here. If you feel like your endgames aren't very good, you haven't really been placing in the top 17, you want to be going for another high kill healing point, just read the game. If you see that a lot of people are W keying and dying, you might want to join in, get a couple of healing points and go for the win. However, if you're playing your endgames correctly, this shouldn't be a problem and you should just carry on playing consistently. Make sure that you're all playing as a trio during endgame. You want to be doing these separate roles as a trio, if that makes any sense. So the Tarper, focusing on zones, focusing on where the dead side of the moving zone is, trying to get there consistently. The fraggers staying with the Tarper, however if they see an opportunity, they call it out, all of them go and get the kill. But the Tarper is still focusing on where the zones are going while trying to get this kill. The fraggers are fully focusing on fragging, however still focusing on listening to exactly what the IGL and Tarper are saying. So you have to find this balance of focusing on your role, however also being aware of the other roles. The trio that I would say have mastered this playstyle are Kami, Seti and Teak. They manage to play each individual role together. They have this pure chemistry and trust with each other where they can basically just do all these separate roles as one. Okay, so let's recap. You want to be winning your off-spawn fights by getting the best drop possible, finding the most amount of mats, finding the best guns, and getting the best position in your drop spot in order to win that fight by watching maybe a pro player that has the same drop spot as you. They know how to win that drop spot consistently. If you know that you're really good at AR beaming kids, sit back and spray where your teammate go and take piece control, take double edits, try and take angles from closer ranges. Push kids on the outer edge zone. Kids that are boxed up edge zone are usually not the best, and this should serve as some free healing points rather than going to congested side fighting a really good team, losing all your mats and shield. By the way, make sure you're not double swinging on people's walls when you're fighting. Please just don't double swing. If you feel like your teammates are really loud, they like shouting a lot, turn them down in Discord, turn your game volume up, you should be fine. End games, make sure that you're playing as a trio, make sure that you're doing all the separate roles together. Fragger, make sure that you're looking for opportunities to find these frags, make sure that you're calling to all your teammates where the frags are, maybe utilise pre-edits, they should help quite a lot. Tarper, make sure that you're finding dead side of moving zones and even earlier zones. Support, make sure that you're just supporting exactly what both of the players are doing. Your role is super important. You need to be aware of everything in this situation. Your role is probably the most important. You are the backbone of the team. If someone starts to slip up, you instantly take their role without even thinking. If you see that the Tarper's too busy looking for a kill, you instantly start going. If you see the fraggers missed an opportunity, you instantly call it out. Anyway boys, good luck in FNCS tomorrow. Hopefully you all qualify. If you enjoyed this video boys, make sure to help me on my daily upload grind by subbing to the channel, maybe using the supporter creator code. Alright, peace.